Today we're going to continue working with Tarot's Minor Arcana, specifically the number 8. We'll look at each of the suits in Tarot, the number 8, and what its specific meanings are. We'll also look at the reversed meanings of these 8s. And let's start out by having a quick review of this chart here that we have to help us remember what elements represent each of the suits and what aspects they represent. And also at the top of the chart, we have a couple of words just to help us remember the basic meanings of each of the numbered cards in the Minor Arcana. And I'm just wondering, are you guys weaving stories? Do you have your own tarot deck? And are you kind of spreading them out and getting to know your deck, looking at those cards, paying attention to the feelings that you get when you look at the cards? Whether you're wanting to learn to read tarot for yourself or you're interested in learning to read for others, for sure, tarot offers a lot of illumination. It can be a way of us noticing our own sensitivities. I know that a lot of people have a practice of pulling one card a day to kind of see what meanings they should be looking out for, what topics might come up for them. And I think that's a really, really good idea. And I like to say, when you're looking at your tarot cards, each individual card, notice what you notice. Because where your attention is drawn, there's probably a message in there. And tarot helps us develop our intuition, open our intuition, and helps us relate to our own sensitivities. Without further ado, let's talk tarot. We know that specifically the 8s in Tarot's Minor Arcana represent manifestation and quick movement. They can also represent organization and control and even power. And the first card we'll look at here, this is our 8 of Swords. What do you feel when you look at this card? You know, if you were doing the practice of pulling a card each day and this card came out, you might think, ooh, I'm not excited about what this means. Really look at the card and remember that the swords represent the air element, mostly have to do with thought and our mental activities. And in this card, we see an individual. She's bound, she's blindfolded. It looks like her arms are behind her back. There's 8 swords surrounding her. They're dug into the ground. And look at the image. Look at her feet. One foot is on firm ground. The other foot is in the water. And we've talked before about how the air element of the swords and the water element of the cups really mingle and merge with each other because, of course, our thought processes oftentimes have to do with our emotions and our feelings. And so in this card, what we're seeing here is someone who feels restricted. There's a restriction going on, and depending on the cards that land around this 8 of Swords, we can get an idea of what type of restriction is going on here. Alone, it could represent that this person has some mental restrictions, feeling limited and tied and even trapped, but by the imaginations of their own mind. This particular card alone in the reversed position can mean the opposite, can actually mean the end of a restriction or a freedom from the restriction, even releasing limiting thoughts. Again, it's going to really depend on the other cards that fall around this card. And we'll get into that in part 2 of this video. Maybe also not just feeling trapped, but actually feeling fearful of moving forward. Like maybe feeling trapped or even frozen because of the fear of moving forward. And again, this card in reverse could show that that fear has dissipated and has turned into freedom for movement. Okay? We look at the 8 of Cups, and again, have a look at this. What comes up for you? Are you feeling anything? Let your senses and your feelings open up. What could this card mean? Now, in the card, it's depicted that there are 8 cups. They're upright. They don't seem to be damaged in any way. Yet this individual is walking away from what looks to be 8 healthy, upright cups. So the individual also, you can see they have like a walking staff or a cane. This is like a hiking staff, like someone's really prepared to go on a journey. They're going somewhere. And they're actually walking away from an existing situation toward possibly the unknown. What else do you notice? Do you notice the moon above? Now, the moon often represents our body, mind, and spirit together. The moon is an illumination and can also represent hidden or unknown things. And this individual is walking toward the moon and walking away from an existing situation. And notice the water. So we see water here, and we know that the cups are ruled by the water element. And there's also mountains, like he's walking towards some mountains. This represents earth. So this could be someone physically walking away from a situation that seems to everyone else healthy and fine, but they're seeking something else, something better, something more fulfilling. And if this card is not representing something going on in the physical, then it has to do with the subconscious, the dark recesses of our minds, and possibly this individual is having a spiritual awakening and realizing that whatever these cups represented in their lives no longer support them, and they're in search of something better, something more fulfilling. Even if it is unknown, they're seekers. This is a seeker looking for something better and following the illumination of the moon, even though it could take them into the unknown. In the reverse position, this card can represent that someone has made a journey. They have left behind something that no longer served them in search of something better, and that the search has come or is coming to an end. Again, depending on the cards that fall around it, which we'll find out in the next video. And we move to our 8 of Pentacles. And Pentacles is represented by the earth element, and it has to do with all of our physicality. It has to do with schooling. It has to do with education. It has to do with our skills and our crafts and learning. Now, look at this image, and we see an individual. They are sitting at a workbench. They're focused. They have tools in hand, and they are creating these pentacles. They are building, making, learning, and improving their own skills. Now, specifically the 8 of Pentacles, it has to do with education and higher learning, and it can have to do with a new job, a new position at a job. If you remember, the 3 of Pentacles really showed someone in mastery at something. This 8 of Pentacles is manifestation, and this individual is working to manifest the mastery of these skills, to gain further knowledge, to become a master of what it is that they're interested in building. I also note the red shoes, the red socks. This speaks to me of the earth chakra, our root chakra that's red. And this person is definitely involved in the physical, creating a better physical experience through learning, through education, through working hard. We move to the 8 of Wands, and we know that the wands are represented by the fire element, and they have to do with swift movement. This is something happening quickly. So have a look at the card. You see that these staffs, these wands, they've got fresh growth all over them. Each one of them has fresh buds, and they're flying through the air, and they're in an arc that's going to land. So this card represents new information coming quickly, swift movement. We can look at, let's just put this here, 8 of Pentacles and our 8 of Wands. This depicts that someone working hard or looking at higher education, it's coming quickly. If they're waiting on maybe a school loan, or they're waiting on that new job position, they're waiting on the new contract, the new clients, this would say that coming very swiftly, something has to do with bettering yourself, your life, your education, your workspace, and it's coming quickly. All right? If we had this upside down in the opposite direction of the Eight of Pentacles, this could mean that maybe there's a delay, or maybe they're not going to get this one position. Doesn't mean give up, it means not this time. Those are the eights of Tarot's Minor Arcana, and I thank you so much for joining me. If you haven't yet subscribed, please subscribe and click that bell, and you'll get a notification when the next video comes up, which will be Weaving Stories with our Eights. Thank you so much. I'll see you in the next video.